Yes, thank you so much for joining us. This is the film club here at CU Denver. And we
Okay,
screened Time of the Monkey. It was a brilliant episode. We all loved it.
thank
Nick,
you.
so yeah, I'm Nick. I'm moderating this with Jamie here. Hi, I'm Jamie.
Hello, Nick and Jamie.
Yeah.
This is Root Beer. She's also moderating.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Yeah, so let's just start with our first question, which is the first chapter of your career. You've been acting. And then recently you've been moving into more writing and directing and producing on top of that. What's kind of inspired the new chapter in your career?
Wow, this is professional. Ah, uh, I guess I was always that way a little.
Yeah.
How old are you guys?
19, 21.
19, 21? Me
Yes.
too. And hey, uh, so I think I just always, you know, loved moving pictures and the sounds they made or didn't. And I was a child actor, so I sort of didn't really choose any of it, but enjoyed it. And I guess, well, now he's pretty out of the conversation, but in my day, working with Woody Allen was a big deal. And he had played my father in this movie, and I got to see that firsthand. I guess I was about 15 when that happened. And I was like, oh, good. Now I've sort of done this Pee Wee's Playhouse at whatever I was, 6 or something, 5 or 6. So by, I guess, 15 or 16 or something, I was at Tisch at film school, film and philosophy double major with the goal of being like, okay, now I've done a decade of acting from Pee Wee to Woody, and I now will start making my own things. Because I sort of always loved, I don't know, whatever, Kubrick or something, or Albert Brooks. So it just seemed like the logical next step after a decade of doing it. I think I'd sort of thought I'd peaked as an actor. Like, how do you beat Pee Wee and Woody? I guess you move into the next level of the field.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. And so when you're working as an actor and preparing for a role, what does that look like in part of your preparation process?
I work like a dog. I am not trained. I dropped out of Tisch, and there's Root Beer taking a little walk. So I had never. Well, she's just watching. Um, yeah. So I am now just I'm watching her watch to take a walk around. But no, I can't wait to talk about my acting process. Uh, so I dropped out of school. I never had taken an acting lesson. Mostly I'm fully autodidactic, and I just watched a ton of movies and would read things like Cassavetes on Cassavetes and sort of understand acting from that level. Or I'd read Sidney Lumet making movies, or what's the Nick Ray one? Where's Walter? I was interrupted, I think it's called, right? Uh, and so I would sort of like get my almost acting information, I guess, from those things of like, what to do or not do. And then when I dropped out of Tisch, I became a full-time student at the Film Forum. And, I'd stay there and I'd watch the quadruple feature. I just sort of study the calendar. And that's how I'd learn about like, pre-code Hollywood or something, or noir, or Fassbinder. And so I guess I was sort of picking and choosing like what styles I liked or didn't like, and then sort of like researching in a way. Back in my day, we had these things, books, and you'd walk in and you'd really go down a rabbit hole. Like one thing would lead to another. These days, Sam Rockwell, another New York actor who kind of had a long road of it. Said to me, I was sort of talking to him about something, and he was like, you should really be working with my guy, Terry Knickerbocker. And I was like, huh, what's an acting coach? And I think that what had happened is after Orange is the New Black, maybe I was trying to figure out, like, I think I was going to do this movie with my friend, Danny Perez, this movie Anti-Birth that Chloe Sevigny was in as well. And I was like, oh shit, now that I'm on this TV show, I can't, I've got to make I can't play the same character, so I started working with Terry to figure out these sort of like nuances of how to, I don't know, there's a lot of people that I guess are these sort of like soft touch players in a way. Like that's why I love Peter Falk so much, it's sort of what he does in Wings of Desire or in Husbands or A Woman Under the Influence or Columbo. In a way, it's like, it might seem like it's of the same, but they're each so specific and dialed in. And I personally love that kind of thing. So Terry, I think, would really help me sort of like carve out, even then moving into Russian Doll and then into Poker Face, these really specific ways to kind of keep something so close to the bone that it felt organic and not like a put on, but also that the micro choices were so specific and dialed in that you weren't ever phoning in a character. TBD if it works or not, but I sure work very, very hard at it. And I'm also a very intense, I really believe in being so off book that you have the freedom to be loose. I think I'm probably much more mathematic than it seems. It's a very organized chaos type of operation I'm running here. So I like to be like so fucking prepared that we can throw the pages away altogether,
And you've worked with so many different types of directors, be it Woody Allen or Jamie Babbitt or now with Ryan on Poker Face. What makes a good set and what makes a not as good set, right? Like what's creating that atmosphere? How does the director create that on set? How does that look like?
Well, in the case of Ryan, he's extraordinary in that he really sees the movie, or I guess in this case, the TV show. So, I mean, it's also really fun, having been in the writer's room with him, even watching, him sort of like draw out, it's like everybody's talking in their Zoom boxes or, on the whiteboard in the room. And he's sort of like sketching in a little notebook and he's sort of like drawn out the episode, as a map. Oh, I'm so sorry. It seems like Root Beer might have to pee. And so he really knows what it is. So I think sometimes you'll have an experience with a not as good director. Like I'll be late at night, be walking the streets of the East Village, walking Root Beer around. If you want to go pee, it's out there, not in the house. And so then, and I'll sort of like realize in that moment what the scene should have been and be kind of kicking myself like, shit, I just cracked it. And that doesn't really happen with Ryan. With Ryan, it's like you go home and you sleep soundly because he wouldn't have let you go home if you didn't have it. And so he's really very special in that way. And what ends up happening is, everybody feels like the captain is on deck. And so everybody is very, relaxes. I think when there's not a plan or something, it's hard when there's not a vision. So the vision and the plan is so strong with him. And, so even if you're doing something like, there are certain moments where he has a really specific shot in his mind. For example, in the Poker Face pilot, there's like the moment where I guess Adrian Brody jumps off the balcony, not a spoiler alert. And I kind of go like this with my hand, and it's almost like to Home Alone or something. And I remember on the day feeling very weird about it and saying, now she wants a snack, and saying like, Ryan, what is this? Like, I'm just going to be like standing here and the camera to zoom in. And I'm like, oh no, it feels so silly, but you become, and speaking as an actor, as a director, when you ask an actor to do that kind of thing, you'll get a lot of sort of like pushback of like, if you ask somebody, I was going to say Ellen Burstyn, but actually she's lovely and will sort of, is pretty game. But, if you get a serious, can you say motherfucker in here? Then in a set, they'll say, Like, what do you mean? I'm not doing, why would I do that in a vacuum? Ryan has a really great way of like, because the environment is so solid, you're like, okay, fine. You know what I mean? I'll just go like this. And then you see it in the show and you're like, oh, I see. He kind of knew what he meant, didn't he? So it's, I think that's sort of an interesting example of what makes it feel safe or not or something.
Right. So you starred in and also directed The Orpheus Syndrome, which is such a brilliant episode of Poker Face. And so what's the unique challenges, but also kind of blessings of directing something you're also acting in?
Well, I also co-wrote it with Alice Jew,
Yes.
who does a knockout human being, brain, writer, and she was with me also on Russian Doll, and she is extraordinary. And so yeah, what's the question? What are the challenges?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, sort of. How does that change the dynamic from you're just acting in something to now you're acting and directing?
Having done um, all the jobs with the Russian Doll, it's not like new to me, or even new as a concept. Um, Charlie Chaplin and I don't know who else. Walter Wright, Albert Brooks, Woody Allen. I mean, there's the list goes on. Maybe Elaine May, right? I think there's a sort of no shortage. So it's sort of like fun in a way, and I think there's a pretty significant lineage there of people that enjoy that kind of thing. It's almost I can feel my feet start to walk like Charlie Chaplin when it happens, because it's like you're wearing so many hats that you're almost a little bit silly in it. It's like you become a merry prankster because it's so absurd that you'd be doing all these things that it's like you really focus up, and it's much more fun for me because I'm sort of like on high alert. My brain is really at attention, as opposed to sometimes if you're, for me, sometimes the experience of just acting can be like, you're sitting in a trailer and you're kind of like, you sort of take a nap during lunch, and then you kind of snap back to it after, and you're like, oh, right, touch up. Oh, fuck, that's right. I was wearing the t-shirt from that. Right, of course. You're like a little bit, they bring you to set, and then you get there, and it's kind of like you wait, you play with your phone or something. If it's the '90s, you read some Nietzsche, and I don't know. It's not quite as like alert as opposed to if you're also directing while you're kind of doing it, you're kind of fully dialed in the whole time. And it's like your brain isn't even thinking about sleep. You're just thinking about like the shots you got to get. And you know what I mean? You're like, you're inside the experience. From me, it's like a more inside experience. And it's very fun with the crew, because it's not like you're having this experience of like, this weird it's a really shitty thing, that they've architected with sort of like this actor bubble and crew bubble. It's so much more fun when it's like a united front. And so when you're kind of, for me, at least when I'm toggling in that way, I feel much more like inside the holistic experience of the entire operation. And it's really joyful because it becomes a full collaboration, like, from in every direction, as opposed to, something more myopic. It's like suddenly like all of a sudden also everybody's concerns make sense. I think sometimes if you're just acting, you're like, God, like, why are they fucking relighting this thing again? Don't they know that we need more takes? We haven't nailed the scene yet. But if you're suddenly doing both, you know exactly why you're doing that. It's because it's not quite right. So you have more, in a way, it's like doing more things creates more space and more patience.
Hey, Natasha.
Yes, sir.
We've talked about this before, but I wondered if you could share. We watched Russian Doll. I felt this real like cathartic, emotional response to the end of it. It kind of demonstrated, like, for me, this real generosity of emotion and spirit that you were showing. Like this kind of like you're sharing something with us and sharing maybe part of your journey. Kind of intimated it when you talked about Sam. But can you share a little bit about your journey, kind of hitting that bottom and finding your way up now. And now you're Old Navy lady now. You're everywhere. So tell us a little bit about, what that was like at the bottom and what the next day looked like after you found yourself there.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many bottoms, but, and now there's a whole movie about it. It's called Bottoms. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't know. It's, I think ultimately for me, we've probably talked about this before, but there's that Fellini short, is it called Toby Dammit. It's in that trilogy of the Edgar Allan Poe adaptations, and one is Fellini, and what are the other two? Walter, you can
Can't remember. It's like
Roger Vadim is one.
Yeah, the sex one.
Yeah. What's the third?
I don't remember. It's what's it called? Like Spirits of the World, something, or
Spirits of the Dead.
Spirits of the Dead. Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, so Terrence Stamp and Toby Dammit in the Fellini one sort of is like, careening around in the car, and he's seeing this like kid demon with some sort of a ball, and he's just moving through this kind of I don't know, warped sort of space, direction. He's just trying to get a Ferrari, and which he promptly crashes. It's another spoiler. And I guess sort of like my teenage peak in the business really felt a little bit like that, of a bit of a fun house. Like, what's this all for? Like, who is it for? And who cares? Is it about like winning? Is it about, I mean, I can't even imagine with your generation, you guys with this social media and everything, but it's like sort of, is it about self-promotion? Is it about winning at life? What is this? It's at its core, it's really supposed to be about the arts and making things and collaborating with people and ideas and, communicating with each other. So anyway, I dropped out and went on a search to kind of like find that, and almost like a narc, in too deep. I got lost in it pretty far, and finding my way out of there was pretty wild too. And then on the other side was this Mike Lee play. And that was it was a pretty good way home. And yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the question is. How can I help you?
How'd you do it? Where do you find strength and inspiration? We have a room full of kids today that are like, I don't mean to call them kids, young people who are on the cusp of pain and disappointment sometimes, and
right.
Right
at all times.
At all times, how do you pick yourself up?
Right. Oh, and I will say a word on Old Navy is I always think it's a sort of like a surrealist exercise that somebody like me can wind up in something like that. Is very funny because my reputation's right there on the internet, available for anyone to see. So I always think it's pretty funny, and that's happened. I think it's probably it's healthy for people to find out that that's possible in a life, to go from here to there and back again and whatever. So on pain, I would say it's sorry, this is root beer's water. I'm a mother. Hold on. I'm back. So I mean, yeah, it's like a lot of dark nights of the soul are involved in this your chosen profession. Mostly because I think, like we want, to be like, seen and heard and understood, and for people to get the stuff that we're making. And it doesn't always go that way, and it's really brutal. Because it just feels like, soul crushing. And And then it's also weird to be at like different levels of it, you know, over the decades, because, you know, it's stuff like you start to understand that sometimes people aren't even reading things. You know what I mean? Like in my time in this business, you know, it used to be that everything was like a paper script that was delivered and you'd read it and it was like really fucking important. So now that means that, you know, for all of us as writers, it's like you can work so fucking hard on something. And because of like these cell phones and the attention span and that the world is so overwhelming, people might not even fucking open that thing, you know, and you're like waiting, like your heart is like, oh my God, they probably opened it right now. Oh my God. Oh fuck, I just found a typo. I found a typo. You know what I mean? Shit. How did I not notice it? Well, it's because I was in the FDX but as soon as you put it in the PDF now, I see there's a typo on the cover page, you know, and it's like, they might not even ever fucking click on it. Like, or click on it for a second and then just immediately, you know, they got an Instagram alert. Like, it's so weird. Steel yourselves. And ultimately, I guess it's important to find some sort of, you know, it can't really be about winning or sort of like outside opinion. It's really, I mean, the real Deal McNeil's got to be doing it just for love of the game because it's just too brutal otherwise.
So I just got a text from Lucky,
Oh, great.
and he wants me to share this, and then I'm going to let these guys take over again. He said the scene where Natasha realizes the two old gals are evil is one of my favorite things I've ever filmed. Natasha's heartbreak there is so moving. I felt like I was filming a scene from Goodfellas or something. It was the finest of moments for me as a director, just witnessing actors of her caliber and hoping I had the camera in the right place to catch it.
It was a wild moment, you know, and I love Lucky and Judith and Esapate. Were so amazing and they were so dialed in. And it is, you know, the reason people talk about like preparedness and stuff, and not just, you know, talent, it's like a great, you know, like that quadrant, you know, like the four of us really were like ready to rumble in a way that I don't think any of us were expecting that scene to happen in that way. Like it just sort of, because everybody kind of knew their lines and Lucky knew exactly what he wanted to shoot. It was sort of like the table was set. We just played the scene and that happened. It wasn't even really, you know, it didn't say, you know, and this is fucking tears start here or this happens here. None of that was, you know, it's also, you know, I mean, it's beautifully written. But I think, yeah, just like you don't know sort of like exactly what's hiding in those lines and stage direction and stuff and blocking until you like you're just kind of there. And if you're sort of present enough, crazy shit just happens.
Yeah, and building off talking about working with Lucky, in television, you're working with so many different directors from episode to episode. How do you maintain a consistency in a season, both stylistically and in your working process?
Well, it is tricky, and I think that's part of you know what makes the show so special, and also like you really gotta, you know, like keep your hands on the whatever, because it's almost like you gotta build a character that's so solid that they can sort of, you know, exist no matter what, because, you know, also tonally the episodes are different, or the director style or the actor style or whatever it is. And I always see it a little bit like music, maybe because of a lack of formal training. So it's almost like you're trying to hear the key that it's like played in, and then like a session musician sort of like drop in. And it's often, you know, when Ryan is there, it's very easy to kind of hear the sound of the music, because it's so clear. You know, he's a you know, miraculous conductor in that way. And I guess you know, when he's not there, sometimes it's like it's almost like they'll be looking to me to sort of like name that tune, and it's sort of a little bit like being a jazz musician or something, because I'm sort of like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. But really what I'm doing is listening to kind of the sort of the vibe of all the players of that particular episode, meaning that new visiting director and these new actors and kind of what their vibe is. And it's sort of like, thankfully, like Ryan and I know what the song is. So it's like, I'm just trying to be like, all right, yeah, I think this sounds like it, because everybody is sort of very vulnerable, like they just want to play the song right. And it's such a tricky tone, these kinds of things, because it's not a drama, it's not a comedy, it's not, it is grounded and real. But it's also, it's a mystery, it's a case of the week. It's like, so I don't know, it's just sort of it's a funny game. But I guess music is the closest comp, and I know that because I don't play music.
Something I love about your acting and your directing is how in touch with your influences you are. I can see shades of The Dude and Columbo and Cassavetes, but you're also taking it in a new direction, particularly with Russian Doll and Poker Face. How do you keep in touch with movies and television and art that's inspired you, while also saying, hey, we're going to do a new thing building on that?
Well, I love dead people. I really think it's healthy to watch and listen and read as much of them as you can, because they're not really bogged down with any sort of like compare and despair, you know what I mean, like in your chosen profession. I saw this movie recently that I loved, Talk to Me, with the Philippou brothers did. Sophie Wilde's the star of it. I love that movie, and I just thought it was so cool, and I was like, yeah, this is fucking a great thing to see, and I loved Zone of Interest, and like, fuck, Jonathan Glazer really just does not fuck around. Maybe actually something that those films have in common, it occurs to me, is like they're not you know um uh they're incredibly talented and pretty seasoned actors, but not like, it's not like a movie star game, you know what I mean? So you can genuinely get lost in the story and then the art form in a different way, and maybe I find that easier to do. Yeah, in general, usually with like dead people, it's a bit better to steal also from the dead, because they can't sue. So
Actually, yeah.
yeah, and so you can steal liberally shots, and um, you can steal like Jenna Rollins and Woman in Influence goes like, all the time. You can just steal that whenever you want. And just little things like that. And so I guess also I don't even realize that the below the level of consciousness, I've been cataloging all these things all these years, of all these shots and all these, sound design. Like if you think about the way Altman sort of like does sound design, is so fucking crazy and specific. So it tells you something. And then there's other things that just sort of like linger. Something like Jacob's Ladder is just in there all the time and you can't shake it, So I don't know if that's an answer to your question.
No, that was great. And when you're looking for someone to collaborate with, what is it that you look for and then that makes you say, hey, let's make a 10 episode series together? And what makes that relationship a fulfilling one?
Yeah, well, I mean, there are certain people that are just like undeniable. So in other words, like anything Ryan wanted to do, it was just like, yeah, sure. I mean, if he wanted to ride bicycles, I'd be like, do we have to? But okay. And so it's sort of like, I definitely think it's more about the players than it is about the because everything is execution, right? So it's like, I could say we're gonna make a movie about this fucking matcha flume, because how the fuck did I end up here? And that's either a terrible fucking, it's either an ad for vaping, or it's like a documentary Coppola's wife made on Apocalypse Now. It's Hearts of Darkness is how we ended up here. Okay, like it could be, you could take it in any, or it's a comedy. You know what I mean? It's really all execution. So it's I think that's mostly what sort of like, binds me to something at this point, is I'm just looking for like, who do I get to play with and hang out with.
Right. And you talked briefly about how the landscape of film and TV is sort of changing in a new direction. And Russian Doll and Poker Face have both been really successful original concepts. Where do you see the future of film and TV going in the next few years?
Yeah, I don't know. AI, TikTok, fucking algorithm based like jibber jabber and images that move quickly and sort of have no story tether that we experience first as a type of uncanny valley and later just come to accept because they've told us to. I'm guessing. But I think that might be my answer. One hopes that you guys don't allow that, frankly. And that you guys save the day and don't let it happen. So that's really probably, I guess, important. And who knows, maybe the future of evolution is that it's not important at all. I couldn't tell you, maybe we're meant to head into this fucking Blade Runner dystopia or something. I don't know. So I guess we'll all find out together. I'll keep trying personally to make things that are, somehow interesting to me, I guess. Hopefully you guys will do the same.
Jamie, if you'd like to go
Yes.
into audience questions.
We're going to start with audience questions. First, can we have Savannah Brassel come on down?
If you would like to.
If you would like to, otherwise I can ask your question.
Just right
This
there.
is, this is for you.
Hi, I guess I'm starting today. It's so nice to meet you.
Hey, Savannah, nice to meet you.
So I have, is it okay if I do Katie's as well? I put in Discord.
Sure.
Okay, cool. So my question was, in our department, we hear a lot about like defining your genre in film and just sticking to that one area. And with your work, I tend to notice it follows that genre of like that dark, real comedy, which I love. But with that in mind, how important do you believe it is to define your genre when you're breaking into the industry?
So defining a genre, well, I guess I think it's pretty important to have like a sense of self, or like a underlying sort of like personhood or ethos or sort of thematic North Star one can tether oneself to as a person and an artist, and then that can you got to be able to like find some sort of something to cling to in whatever situation, so that ideally it's kind of like an accident, meaning so on Instagram stories, I am always blowing it up because it's so easy, because my algorithm is somehow trained to just fucking give me nonstop like fucking Simone de Beauvoir quotes and fucking pictures as Salvador Dali and an anteater and I don't know what, but it's like it's all right there. So it's just I'm not digging in the archives or anything. It's like here comes David Byrne in his Talking Heads outfit, like squiggling around in that big suit or whatever. It's it just kind of I think that's probably a bad thing. It means I'm not likely to stretch much. But I just really think it's important to do a lot of homework at the age that you guys are and really like figure out what you like and what you don't like. I remember Danielle Brooks, who I was with last night. She was honored by Oprah for The Color Purple, and her speech, I was crying like a baby with her mom and dad and brother at the table. I mean, it was like pretty profound. And I love Danielle, and obviously we did 7 seasons of this prison show together. So it's almost like, we're bound for life. And, at some point, Danielle was like, give me a list of those movies that you're always talking about, because I'm, Mr. Movie Phone. And I sent her the list, and it's, mostly this kind of like 70s auteur cinema shit that we all are trained to like. And, of course, there's some kind of like these, the classics and the Kurosawas and whatever, the Bergmans and yes, there's some whatever black and whites in there too. And she calls me up and she's like, so every girl in these fucking movies is like an Aryan demon. You realize that, right? She doesn't talk like that. That's my interpretation. Danielle doesn't speak like a disgusting mafia boss in the way that I do. But she was just sort of gently like saying, I mean, not so gently, but I'm paraphrasing. And it's kind of like I quickly catalog back, right, to all these ladies, right? Like whether it's even sure, Jenna Rollins is way up here, and my God, we love her, but is it really that different than, Michelle Pfeiffer in Scarface or something, let alone or Meryl Streep in The Deer Hunter? It's like they're all kind of, Jessica Lange and Francis. I mean, they really are of an ilk, and I think I always obviously was really trying to steal from the boys, whether it was like fucking Sylvester Stallone and Rocky, or Joe Pesci or Elliot Gould in The Long Goodbye, whoever the fuck it was. I was usually just robbing the store liberally, looting, and but her point was well taken, right? Like what we think is our center of gravity is pretty narrow, and I think it's very important to do that research so that way one can speak to, hey, these are the things that are fucking wrong with all of the things that we hold up as being, ultimate in filmmaking. It's not necessarily true. Like there's conceivably an entire flip of the prism in which the world is seen completely differently. And we've never even, we haven't even scratched the surface of that. So I think it's very important to sort of like, know, like, I think it's important to sort of know what's come before and know sort of like what rules to fucking say, fuck you. I mean, even Dennis Hopper doing like Easy Rider, it's basically like that movement sort of, begins as a fuck you to the system. Like, there's everything is a fuck you to like what's come before. So it's a very exciting time. It's like, yeah, then it's a whatever, like fucking The Farewell comes along. You're like, what the fuck just happened? Or I mean, everybody goes nuts for Parasite, right? Like that movie had not been made before. And that is some serious fucking craftsmanship, Moonlight, Zola, like, obviously I'm, very partial to Janicza Bravo, who also directed the finale of Poker Face and is one of my tightest friends. It's like, what a fucking like soaring example of somebody who's like, oh yeah, I've seen those movies from the 70s. Now let me show you my way. You know what I mean? Like, it's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was a great answer to that. And then my friend Katie is a huge fan of yours, but she couldn't make it tonight because she had work. And so she is wanting to become an actor, and she was wondering like what advice you have for more of a production standpoint on trying to become an actor in LA and New York.
Okay. So, well, you got to leave your house. It's very important. I think when you're a young person, but I think you kind of got to leave your house even when you get older, because at home it's very cozy. So it's sort of like I'm in the safety of my own thoughts, and then they can skew dark, and sort of like maybe I won't make something, or I'll make something in a vacuum. I'll start writing tomorrow, or you know what I mean. Like acting is also a very tricky thing that you can't really like be practicing at home. Like Clea and I would sometimes be like, I remember at one point she had a girlfriend who was a drummer and named Radio. Radio would go practice drumming in the other room, and Cleo and I would be like, I guess let's sit out here and jam. Let's do some acting. And you can't. There's nothing to fucking do. Like so. in a weird way, it's like leaving the house is where you find other people that are actually making things. You know what I mean? Like by going to see a bunch of, off Broadway plays, or like, comedy shows, or whatever the fuck it is, like anything. And you start to sort of slowly find your people. And it's like, it's those people. It's like, and if you like just bet on yourself and bet on your friends, like, I think a big mistake is to think that your inner circle is like your competition. I think that can happen in the arts, like that oh, these people I know are who I'm comparing my life to. It's like, no, those are your fucking allies. And you want them to win, because if they win, then they'll fucking put you in shit. And like, you know what I mean? You might get a job. Like, I only get jobs because of text messages, it's, and I give jobs from text messages, it's like, so it's, you don't want to, you know what I mean? Like root for your friends, and, make a circle and like, believe in each other. And that's sort of how you start being able to make things together. And, it kind of grows out from there, like the circle widens. It's very hard to just like hit the pavement in a vacuum, I think. The arts are a collaborative medium.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Savannah.
Thank you guys.
Next, we have a question from James Halsell. James, you want to come up, or do you want me to ask it? Please come up. Yes, we also have about 15 minutes left, so this is going to be one of our 3 last questions.
Okay. I might ramble. Might be the last question.
Could be.
Okay, so you talked earlier. First of all, hi. I'm James.
Hi.
Hi,
James.
Where should I look to make eye contact? Over here? Okay.
That's eye contact. We just look up here.
So you talked earlier about, somewhat sardonically, about stealing from the dead. And I just wanted to talk to you about what the difference is to you between stealing and homage. And going on that, whether or not you have a process for consciously taking inspiration into future projects, or if it is kind of like you said about music, where it's just sort of 1 minute it's not there and then the next it is.
Well, it's weird, it's like I'm always kidding and always dead serious. So like hopefully the quality of like the writing, or the directors, or the acting, or the production design, whatever the fuck it is like inherently strong enough that it's its own solid idea. And then from within that, you're able to kind of yeah, you're robbing and you're stealing, but it's not exactly that. It's sort of like, it is homage, you know what I mean? Or it is like a dedicated sort of salute. Like, for example, Oatmeal, the cat in Russian Doll, and Me and the Deli is just direct rip from, Altman's The Long Goodbye, and the way Elliot Gould plays Philip Marlowe. It's just, he's got a cat, and, there's some shots of him looking around. But then again, there's some, shots of Lebowski looking around at a fucking store too. And, there's shots of like Sandler looking around in like Punch Drunk Love, I think, you know what I mean? Like those are sort of like, it's an iconic sort of, it's a lineage of homage in a way. Philip Marlowe is sort of an idea on an idea on an idea that, like, through time and sort of film has, continues to evolve up until, Poker Face is another interpretation of it. But they're really like this idea of, someone who's on the case with a kind of a bit of a wacky inner monologue, in any number of ways, is a very specific archetype that you can, break and re-break over and over. So I don't know if that's an answer to your question. Again, just a lot of research, more information, the better, I think. And then sort of things will naturally, it becomes an easier way to sort of crack and catalog things, like, to do or not to do, or been done before, or, oh, that might be worth sort of, oh, this is that shot. It becomes sort of like a shorthand in a way of like, oh, it's in that spirit. Got it. And like, I got this, I just directed this Netflix comedy special that's going to be coming out soon for Jacqueline Novak, who's fucking brilliant. She wrote this show and called Get on Your Knees, and it's great. She is really extraordinary, and I was lucky enough to shoot it. I worked with Sam Levy on it, who's a cinematographer from Lady Bird, and also this movie I have coming out called His Three Daughters. It's Ozzy Jacobs' new film, and Sam is fucking awesome. And we were just we had this one camera set up way up in the wings in town hall, and that was the Nashville camera because it was going to be on a long Zoom, and it's like we knew we weren't going to use it often, but we just called it the Nashville camera, and we just, you know what I mean, like let that sort of zoom in and out throughout, and sort of grab some pieces. So it's almost like in time, it's that's how you sort of communicate. Like, oh, this is prior on the Sunset Strip. What's that palette? Okay, but remember when George Carlin walks in? Right, that vibe. It's sort of like the more information you have, it sort of becomes a little bit like that. But the hope is that you're never actually stealing in any sort of silly way. We did do it quite literally in the first episode of the second season of Russian Doll. There's the kiss that's just a direct rip to Alex Cox said a Nancy shot with flying garbage, but we're being silly on purpose, I guess. You know what I mean? It's sort of like a dumpster kiss and this kind of a thing, and it's a way of it's like a salute. It's a nice way to sort of remember that things came before.
Thank you.
Sure.
Our final audience question is time for Anne's redemption. Anne, do you want to come down this time?
Anne's redemption.
Hi.
Ask this part.
Okay.
Just.
So, how do you? Oh, I'm Anne, by the way.
Hi, Anne. I'm Natasha.
So my question is, how do you stay true to yourself in the industry, regardless of like what roles you do, and just how do you keep to yourself? How to keep to who you are in this industry?
Yeah. I mean, it's I guess it helps to live some life, because it's pretty hard to forget that life if you've had one. So in most cases, that's the case. I do think that maybe sometimes, I don't envy like these kids that just, like come out the gate and fucking like soar to the top and kind of like stay there a while. And it's sort of like, I think, a machine around them and a bit of a bubble. And, like they, I don't know, they're on like private planes and stuff like, you know what I mean? I'm so grateful that I can, afford Ubers. But it's like it's a good nice thing to take the train. It's a nice thing there's a nice thing about living in New York City is like you are inside of the mix though. Like I do think it's a trickier thing in like places with cars, and Los Angeles, namely, is it's an industry town. I mean, it's just like you don't fucking see billboards all the time in other cities. You know what I mean? Like, and you don't just like drive from one place to the next. You get your groceries and you get back in your car, and it's pretty myopic. So anyway, I think it's good to sort of mix it up and stay out there and walk the streets at night, but not necessarily as a street walker. But if you do want to do that, and that's also okay. And I guess like music, I find to be pretty. Music is a crazy thing. It'll bring you right back to any moment in your life that was, and not as ideal. It'll kind of remind you of who you are pretty quickly. And I don't know. Yeah, like pick a person and stick with it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we just have one more question for you, and it is, what's a question you always prepare for but are never asked?
Oh, I don't know that I have that, but I would say my least favorite question is like, I don't like it that it's like part of like a small talk lexicon to be like, are you okay? Like, I think it's crazy when people ask each other that. I don't think anybody's okay. It's like, you don't want me to answer that question. Like, no, of course I'm not. Why would you ask me that? Obviously, I must be displaying some sort of like personality abnormality that's, provoking that question in you. And so I'm sure I'm not okay. And how deep do you want to go with that? Oh, I see. You'd prefer that I lie. Yes, I'm doing great. Are you okay? Or do you want me to tell you the truth? I just find it perplexing as a question. I think it's not a nice thing that we do to each other. It's like nobody wants to be asked in a public space, at a fucking the cocktail party. Are you okay? It's a mean thing that we do to each other. That's like a false sense of connection. It's not nice. I'd love to see that eliminated from society. How are you? I'm on the fence about. It's sort of like, is that loaded? It seems
Right.
pretty fucking loaded. It's like, how am I? I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm fine. I'm great, and walking and talking and fucking around. But you didn't mean it in a deeper sense. I see. Okay. And it's also tricky, you want to be like, great, everything's going great. I mean, the world is falling apart, but I'm just terrific. It's also insane in that direction. Like, these are sort of like, they're riddles, embedded in fucking labyrinths, but we sort of treat them like they're totally normal. So it's really, sort of like nobody should ever be okay and nobody should ever be doing well. Frankly, it's like if they're, looking at the world around them, it's like, but also on some level, it's like, yeah, I guess everything is, I don't know, in the very like whatever Alan Watts would say, you're like, you're just fine in this exact moment, right? Like, so
Yeah.
I don't fucking know. But so I guess I don't if I do get asked that question, I'm always sort of prepared for the worst. When I walk into any space, I'm like, I bet someone's going to ask me how I'm doing. And I kind of, so I deal a lot of non sequiturs as a result.
And we actually just have one more question for you. Are you okay?
And we actually just have one more question for you. Are you okay?
Yes. You know what? I'm fine. I'm with you guys. Telling the truth, Root Beer's taking a nap. And we just woke her up. But it's 6:27 here. It's my computer says 9:27, so it must be 9:27 in New York. And so ask me again at 6:30 and we'll see. I do like to be occupied. So in this moment I'm fine because I'm talking to you guys, and as soon as I close the Zoom, I'll just fall over like a ventriloquist doll and be in an existential sort of a spiral for at least the next until my cell phone dings and it's on silent. I'm fucked. So we'll see how it goes. Thank God for the crossword puzzle. It'll keep me busy a while. And then we'll see. Moment to moment, kids. Moment to moment.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Root Beer too. It's been great having Root Beer on. Thank you so much for coming.
We would love to take a photo with you. Are we allowed to take? Is it okay if we take a photo with you?
Missed it.
That was the shot. Okay. Well, we got to get everybody up there first. Lyndon, do you want to turn it so she can see? We're gonna give you a new set of eyes. Right up here. Up here. I'm gonna turn on the lights.
No phones, please. Looking away.
Sorry, guys.
Horrible.
Striking, Jamie.
Honestly.
I tried my best.
I don't know where the camera is. I'm really gonna have it.
She's right there. Walter will be out there.
Sorry.
You should be in the front. Go to the front. Go in front of Emily. It's fine.
Good. Am I upside down on the ground?
Rowan, you're already tall. James, pick me up. Get on it and hold on to my shoulders. Hell yeah. Is this really bad if I get on this?
Yeah, probably so. Next to you, it will just awkwardly cheer.
Can I like get on the third side?
Rowan, this is. Thank you. Thank you, Natasha.
You guys got the shot?
Yes.
All right, bye, guys. Walter, thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you so much for doing this. You're the best.
Of course, honey, you're the best.
Yeah, I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
All right,
Yeah, bye.
bye. Bye, guys.